I'm back again! That is right, the Mega Mech Hut is back once more. And today we're adding yet another to my DBZ series, which I'm going to be doing as many games in the series as I actually have access to. I've also got some other fighting game coolness set up coming down the road where I'm going to be doing some older games, particularly some of the older DBZ games, a couple of really old but really cool PS1 era fighting games, and I'm going to continue to work on the DBZ series as best I can. That being said, what we're dealing with right now is we're dealing with Dragon Ball Z, and we're dealing with Ultimate Tenkaichi. Last time I did a little bit of DBZ Battle of Z, the newest one. And I mentioned that game's gameplay style was a lot of fun, but didn't feel appropriate for Dragon Ball Z itself. And now, as we're checking out this awesome intro here, this time I'm going to show you what came before it, and I will explain why I feel it made an error. Now you'll notice that there's new animation for the intro here, new characters even, and that gets into one of the core gameplay mechanics, which I'll explain in a bit. God, that's some awesome animation. I've always loved the animation style for DBZ, and especially like the fact that when they've gone back and retouched it, they've kept the same basic character designs, but you could see a much greater clarity in the animation and the effects they use for it. You could use just whoop and rear. Now, this series, anybody who's a DBZ fan knows that this series has a long running history. It's, you got video games going all the way back to the Nintendo era, but the series really sort of took off in the PS2 era with Budokai and its attendant series that eventually followed through, and then they did Budokai Tenkaichi, and now they've done Raging Blast, which I'm also going to be doing, and they remade they did an HD remake of Budokai itself, number 1 and number 3, which we'll also get to, so awesome sauce. So, as I said, we will explore all of those as I go along, and I'll be doing those as best I can when I can. And just in case anyone's curious as to why there's been such a sort of, there's sporadic burst of video activity and then I'm, gone for a while, I do apologize for that, but I work full-time. I have family commitments and issues that I've had to address, and there's been some times when it just wasn't possible for me to devote the time or energy I needed to make a video. Now, that being said, let's get started. Here is your basic modes. And I love this menu system because you're in Trunks' time machine going through the history, I suppose. But here is the different modes. You've got the story mode, the hero mode, which in the intro you saw two unique Saiyan characters. That is what the hero mode is. You get to create your own hero and go through a parallel DBZ universe. And that is actually one of the things about this that I absolutely love, is the idea of that. It's not executed as well as I would have liked, however. Battle mode is basically what it is. It's you and a friend beat the crap out of each other. World Tournament mode is World Tournament mode. Customization allows you to do customization. For example, you can customize the background medley. You can customize different sounds and all kinds of different stuff. And you can even change your different background music for when you're actually battling. So like you can actually go ahead and change the different music for the individual characters too. And then you can actually change the different information for each character. This series had a great number of musical options, and I kind of liked it in the fact that they did a really good sort of variety in music there. It's all done in the Bruce Falconer style, but it sounds really awesome. Alright, so anyway, let's go into story mode real quick, and I'm just going to show you the. I'm going to do a single fight in story mode so I can show you the basic gameplay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do. The basic structure on the game itself. And what you want to do is, let's see, I'll do Goku versus Vegeta. And this way I can show you the basic gameplay style and how it works, and I will be able to show you both why I thought that it actually handled the DBZ side of things well, but I felt that it did not handle the gameplay side of it as well as it could. And I know this game was pretty notorious for the fact that its gameplay was rather simplified, and that is all honesty, folks. Yeah, I can't argue that. It's sadly true. Alright, so let's begin the battle and get started here. Now, that being said, I like this game, and I actually have a lot of fun with it, but I can understand why it got some of the complaints it did. There are some significant problems with it that could be addressed. Now here's something that's cool, a little mini game where you have to race Vegeta. Depending upon the difficulty level it's set to, he will give you a fierce chase, and you have to try and outmaneuver him so that he's not lined up with you, because if he is, he will overtake you and then just, completely ruin your day. But I'm clear.
Figures. He's keeping up with me easily.
Alright. And then once this ends, you get to go to the actual gameplay level itself, so.
Okay, there won't be any people or animals around here.
Now, that being said, this game is broken up into two modes. And story mode is both the regular game and some simple mini games, nothing too major, but it is what it is. There's a few giant battles, regular battles, stuff like that. And then Goku and Vegeta.
So, this is where you've chosen as your final resting place?
I will make a point of this. The voice work is great, but it is not synced up with the lip movements, period. I mean, there are points where it is atrocious. And I've seen other games where that occurs, and it is just awful. But
let me show you just how useless
but it is what it is. Now it's time for me to beat you down, Vegeta. Or not, we'll see, but the game is very basic. You have the left thumbstick moves you. Pressing down on the D-pad powers you up. And allows you to charge your ki. Notably, ki does not actually work as your super moves in this game. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment. But you have two ranges. You have blast range, which is this, where you fire energy blasts. And then you can, when you hit a certain amount of times, you can combo into these, which are the blast chains, in which you can either use square or triangle to do a series of moves. Your opponent does have an opportunity to counter. And then you also have melee range, in which you fight close quarters, so you can do this. And your opponent will counter back, and it can be turned, back and forth like that. Kaioken attack. And what ki is used for is that it activates your defensive abilities. So Vegeta hasn't got any ki, he can't block or defend, and I'm just pummeling the ever-loving crud out of him for it.
You've reached your limit. It's time to finish you off and show you the true power of an elite Saiyan warrior.
Show me what you've got.
And now Vegeta's powering up, and we're going to get into a real fight here.
It's over,
and
Kakarot.
It's time to go. And what's notable is that you can use both the triangle button for your combo techniques, once you've activated them, or the square button, and they both have different effects. The square button does, well, what you see here, it does the rapid fire punches. The triangle button does the hard hitting attacks, so like that. And if you hit the triangle button full power and hit it and it's not blocked or dodged, you get an automatic combo with it. Now, special moves all work differently. Some work from blast range, like the Kamehameha here, and then others, like the Kaioken earlier, will only work at close range in the melee range. And Vegeta's just going to sit there and take it like a bitch. Now, you can also do ultimate moves.
There's no way a lower class warrior like him could beat me.
And ultimate moves in this game, unlike the Battle of Z, where I talked about how you can only do them under very, very specific circumstances, in this game you can do them much more frequently. However, there is a catch. You can only do that if your opponent is nearly dead or you are nearly dead. Once your life gets into the red zone, then you can do them at any time.
I'll blast you in your
Here we go. Now Vegeta's firing his laser. And Goku's going to answer back with the Kamehameha. And then it becomes a beam struggle. And this is how the defenses work in the game. Whoever hits the most triangle buttons repeatedly gets the win, and wham, Vegeta's out of the game. And that's it for Vegeta, but
Yeah, I didn't expect him to go down so easy.
I wanted to show you the basics of it, and the entire story mode plays out enormously. But what you're seeing is a sort of, open world map system, but you also can choose chapter by chapter. And each battle is broken up into chapters, and then you can go do other side missions and other age quests and stuff like that. And then I just blasted Vegeta into the atmosphere, and now he's super angry at me. You mad, bro? You mad, bro?
I am a Saiyan, the most powerful warrior in the universe.
Apparently not, because I just blew you apart. You suck. And then after this is one of the giant battles where you fight the transformed Vegeta, and it's a much different thing because those are much more limited. You don't have free flight. You can't go long range or anything like that.
The moon should have been out long before now.
And see, now I'm playing as Vegeta, and you can do search and stuff like that. But basically, yeah, that's it for the story mode. You go from mission to mission, playing each event as it comes up, and then you go from there. Now, here's the big new thing that they were doing at the time: hero mode. And here you have the ability to create custom Saiyan characters with their own outfits, armor, coloration, the whole 9 yards. And then you can dress them or set them up how you like, change the color of their clothing and all that kind of stuff. But it is pretty cool. Now, Kuro's my current lead, and he's the standard type, and he also has the voice I like. But you have a large variety of character voices, you have a large variety of moves and abilities. However, there are some flaws in this mode, some major flaws. And I was hoping that with Battle of Z they would refine this, and they actually went a completely different route, and I'm disappointed. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. But fair's fair, I'll leave it as it is. Now here's your main character, and I do apologize, but this is already well past the point where I've beaten everything. As you can see, he's dressed in Saiyan armor. They do not have Vegeta's armor, and I am buku disappointed on that because I love the Vegeta armor. It's one of my favorite outfits from the series. But you can also do special move customization. You can also do appearance customization. You can go to the capsule house and change your character's appearance. And you can give them a variety of different voices and outfits too. Like here you can edit your character. And I like the Bardock hair. It's actually pretty cool. And the base color you can change at your discretion. The name you can give him. The armor you can give him. And you can give him actually 2 different variants on the armor. which is you can give him the armor without an undersuit, and you can give him an armor with an undersuit, but you cannot give him the armor without the outer padding, which is annoying. You can also change the mark on the item, which kind of silly, kind of silly really, because it isn't very visible and it doesn't really add anything, but it's still nice. I always like the Red Ribbon Army mark, and you can choose whether they have a scouter or no scouter. And you can choose their voice, and the voice list is enormous. For a game of this type, it's actually pretty neat. You get at least like 6 or 7 different voices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then, yeah, okay, so back around 8 voices total. And each one has some different styles to it. Do a couple of voice thingies so you can hear it. And then here's another voice. Alright, so, and then I'll go ahead and do a fight here so you can see it in action, but basically this game is sort of like its own unique story mode, and I've got all Dragon Balls, so I can I've actually beat the game at this point. If you've got all the Dragon Balls, you can go back and complete certain levels and regain stuff. And you can view replays you've actually saved, which I haven't saved any replays. There hasn't been a particular fight that I just wanted to save permanently. You can also view movies that have been recollected. And this is one of the few interesting features, is that they actually included newly created and newly designed visuals that you can see in the game. And there's 2 movies that I have not apparently unlocked, which I didn't even know about. I'm guessing they're either World Tournament movies or there's something else I'm not familiar with, but I'll look into that later. Completely forgot about them, to be perfectly honest. And then, let's see here. Alright, so I'm going to try and run down, there's a Wasteland level you can fight Captain Ginyu in, which I want to run down. No, that's not it. That is the final battle with Omega Shenron. But basically, the story is that you are sort of the replacement for Goku. Goku and Gohan don't exist in this world. And you, as a Saiyan warrior who lived on this planet for some reason, have sort of taken their place as the primary hope for the world to be its hero. Now, that being said, there are a number of characters who are missing because this world was thrown into chaos by someone gathering up the Dragon Balls and wishing the world to be, I guess, just really screwed up. So, you've been training for years to get yourself ready to become the best, and now you're going out on a journey, and it starts here at the Wasteland. And you'll notice there's a training option in the upper left corner. That's because your training consists primarily of beating the snot balls out of various opponents, and every time you beat one of them, you gain their abilities. So, you gain different abilities depending upon the character. Like Super Janemba, when you unlock his abilities, gives you the full effect of those abilities. So you'll gain all those bonuses. But when you're training against them, you're actually handicapped. So you're actually reduced in power. So it's all a matter of finding the characters that you want to train under. And I've been training with Gogeta, so I'll run a fight with Gogeta just to show you how it works, win or lose, and then I'll fight Ginyu for you. Now, you'll notice that there's 3 enemies. I gotta beat Gogeta, I gotta beat another Super Saiyan opponent, and I gotta beat Omega Shenron. And the training does ramp up. I will admit this is one of the less impressive aspects of the game, is that all you do is fight to train. I would have liked to have seen mini games and other variety of options here, rather than just, fight, because that gets repetitive and grindy in a hurry. It's awesome to unlock all the special moves and everything, because those give you a lot more, you get a lot of really cool stuff doing that. But it also has a side effect of sort of limiting your options. Now you'll notice my aura is a sort of multicolored, dark energy thing. And that's because you can mix and match energy and fighting style. So my outer aura is Aquamarine Flames, but my fighting style is Mage on Vegeta. which means that I can look like I'm shooting dark energy plasma blasts while also having aquamarine flames around me, which looks cool, at least in my opinion. On the side effect of that, though, you're dealing with the fact that trying to find a good combination of fighting style and aura is in itself a lot of fun. Just trying to find one that looks really cool. Now you can also, at one point in the game, and if we have enough time, I'll show you. But you get to a point where you actually become Super Saiyan in what I think is one of the silliest ways ever. But now. I'm going to get him the Big Bang Kamehameha! And that is one of, different characters. There are 3 different characters, and they can all learn different techniques. So that's one example of a technique I learned as this particular character. And then each character has their own, special techniques and super moves that they can earn and unlock as they go along. So now Gogeta is injured, and now the game is actually having him be a little bit smarter, but you'll notice that it's very simple. You combo an enemy until it starts the chain, and then you just follow the chain through. Pushing different directions creates different chain effects, but it isn't that big of a variety, and that's where a lot of the problem with this game came from. They made a big deal about the cinematic effect, and granted, it looks beautiful, and the moves are spectacular, but the gameplay itself is rudimentary and simple. I mean, you build up enough power for a super move, and then you unleash. That's it. It's over. But it doesn't have the same level of depth or complexity that other games in the series did. And more to the point, Battle of Z, while I had some issues with Battle of Z's lack of cinematic effect, I loved its complex and interesting gameplay because while the controls are simple, the actual strategy involved in the game is extremely impressive. And then there's the fact that it takes teamwork and practice to make it all work together. Now here's the counter thing I told you about. During a combo, you or your opponent can press buttons rapidly to try and build up combo and counter abilities. And then, if you press the button rapidly while being comboed, you can break out of it and try to get a snapback to your opponent's rear. However, it's also notable that when you do this, your opponents can also counter that as well. It's sort of an interesting thing where, it's more about who's in the better position and who has better timing than anything else. It's an interesting counter system, but I don't think it's quite as effective as some of the counter systems that existed in other games. And I'll try to show you those down the road. Boom. Now, I'm going to depower myself because I want to show you some of the other moves I've got. But, for example, you can switch back and forth between Saiyan, Super Saiyan, and other various modes easily. But the cool thing about the customized characters is you can give them moves from other characters that don't normally come up as an option. So I can use the lock-on buster, one of my favorite techniques, boom, from the Cooler movie, with my customized character. And I like that. I love the idea of creating characters who can use an enormous variety of techniques. But unfortunately, it does sort of have its limitations, and there were some problems with the implementation. For example, the version I'm using here, the standard type Saiyan, by nature gets the most techniques. He has the largest library of techniques. The side effect of that is that as a result of doing so, it also means it takes longer for him to gain all his techniques, but he has the most options available. Whereas the big character, the heavy character, doesn't have anywhere near the same number of techniques, but he both powers up and gets stronger attacks, as well as gets newer abilities much faster. And then the kid character gets a major boost to his energy blast ability, and in fact he gets like a massive energy blast increase. But it means that his melee is weak and that he doesn't get as many special attacks either. So I feel that they could have done better in implementing it. That is the point I'm getting to. Oh, crud. And this is where the game's difficulty comes into play, because certain characters are so incredibly overpowered that, you know, there's just no way to win against them. And Omega Shenron's a great example. He is enormously overpowered. You know, normally a special move would do 10,000 damage. This guy did that with a single combo, so it does have its problems, but by the same token, it's not a bad game in any respect, and I quite like it. And I'm going to counter that. And with certain characters, the last thing you want to ever let them do is pull off a special move, because they're high enough level that they might end you and I mean literally beat you in a single special move. On the other hand, there are times when being in special move mode might give you an advantage, because you might get the chance to finish them off in a single attack. And see, now I'm in a position where I can try to Ki Blast him to death. But I can't do it because he's blocking. Alright, got him. And what I want to do is build up to my super meter, and then I can show you my final technique here. And each character has 2 modes, normal and Super Saiyan, so you can actually have up to 6 special moves, 2 regular and 2 ultimate. 2 regular and 1 ultimate for each mode. And the ultimate can be used anywhere from any position. And this is actually Raditz ultimate, the Be Gone Beam. Which, yeah, I know he's a low-level character, but that looks so cool. That's right, you jerk. You take 2,500 damage from that one. Yeah, and we'll wrap this up here momentarily, I hope, but... yeah, he's probably going to do the long-range energy blaster if he gets the chance. Yep, Demon Death Ball. And you can counter those moves too, and you'll both just be, you know, it's a blast struggle where you're firing enormous volleys of energy at each other, and it's just like, I'm more powerful, I overwhelm you with my sheer power, and you die. And it's over. So there's another great example of the game's engine, whereas the simplification of the game, in my opinion, led to it having some serious problems in terms of its gameplay. I still think it's a fun game, and I have a lot of fun with it, but I'm not going to lie, there are definitely some things they could have done much better. Particularly the health, ki, and energy systems are intriguing, but they don't really work as well as they used to, and I think that Raging Blast did it better. Specifically the second one, which I'll be playing down the road. Alright, so we got time. You know what? Next time I will show you the battle with Captain Ginyu. So let me go ahead and stop here, and we'll pick up right